Hello everyone, this is Rick from Rick's Outdoor Adventure, and today we're changing the oil in a 2021 Honda CRF450RL. And let's get started. Okay, first we're going to take a 10mm wrench, T-bar, and you've got 3 bolts holding the skid plate on. You got one on each side of the bike. You've got one underneath the bike. I'll see if I can get a shot of it right in the center, in the back. I don't know if you can see it. Honda recommends you change the oil every 600 miles. I think I've got about 1,200 on this one. I've heard other people on message boards saying they're going 1,000 to 1,200 and had their oil checked and everything still looks good. So I think they're very conservative on the oil change intervals. Okay, we got that off. Now we're going to take this side casing off. This is where your oil filter is located. I think it's held on with 3 bolts. It's just the plastic casing. I think Honda's put it on these CRF450RLs for sound dampening, so it's not so noisy. Because these motors do make a lot of noise. Dirty. Okay, we got that out. I'm going to clean this up first before we remove the oil filter. I'll be right back. Okay, with the skid plate off, we're going to take the oil drain plug out. And it requires a 10mm Allen, which I've got the socket. It works really well. You can pick them up at Harbor Freight, pretty cheap. And we're going to loosen this up, and it can take some effort to break it loose. Yeah, that's tight. What the heck? Oh, yeah, that is super tight. And I've been reading about people actually breaking these bolts off. And I think there are some people saying it's because you got aluminum and metal, and they don't work good together. I just had this off actually just about 2 months ago, and it's already just about seized up. And it will be messy. It comes pouring out. It's a very short drain plug. Okay, while that's draining, we're going to take the oil filter off, and that requires an 8mm, 2 bolts. The long one will go on the bottom, the shorter one here on top. Take note of how it comes off, because you'll have a spring on the back side. Make sure it don't fall out and go down in your oil pan. You got your spring here, O-ring there. O-ring will go on the outside. That has to go in exactly like that. Alright, now we're going to clean up the inside of it. Just clean the excess oil. And we're ready to put a new one in. Okay, I've got the oil cleaned out inside there, and I'm going to use a high flow filter, HF116. You can pick these up on Amazon. I think you can get 4 filters for less than $20. and they've got pretty good reviews. They look actually identical to the one that Honda sells. So, okay, now we're going to take the side with the O-ring, put it in there just like that. Here's where you have to make sure you go the right way. You got a spring that goes on the inside. Now what I would recommend is put a little bit of grease on the inside of that spring, because if you don't, it will fall off every time you try to get it in there. So let me get the grease and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my grease. I'm going to put just a little on the spring, just on the inside there, just enough to hold it. I'm going to put that like that, and that holds the spring in place while you assemble it all back together. There's only a certain way this will go, so if it don't work the first time, just spin it around. You can feel the springs in it. If the spring's not right, you won't be able to close this back. So that's a good way to tell. Okay, the short bolt will go on top. Longer bolt on the bottom. Hand tighten it. Okay. Now you can torque it. I don't know what the torque specs is. If I find it, I'll put it on the description there. I just hand tighten it with my T-bar. Just it's nice and snug. Never had oil leaks, never stripped one out. So okay, so that's ready, and it's still draining a little bit, so I'm gonna give it a few more minutes and we'll put the oil plug back in. As you see, it's still draining. What I did, I took the bike and just stand it upright a couple times, and then drop it back down its kickstand, and more comes out. So do that a few times. Give it oil time to drain as much as possible. Yeah, see, there's still more coming out. I'll do that a few more minutes, and we'll get this thing put back together. Okay, now we're ready to install the drain plug. You'll want to put a little bit of fresh oil around the threads, and that will help from it seizing so much on them when you go to change it again. And then we'll put it back in here. Now the torque specs on this is 13 foot-pounds. Once we get it seated, okay, so now we're ready to add oil. Okay, now we're ready to add the oil, and it's a quart and 0.24, which basically is a quart and a quarter of a quart. But I do it in cc. The conversion to that is 1154 cubic centimeters, and I use a ratio right. Let's see if I can get it in the camera here. It's from those two-stroke days, but I just fill it up. It's 500 cc. I do it twice, and then I put another 155 cc's in it, and that should get us close enough to run it and check. Okay, I've got 1154 cc's in it. So now we're going to fire it up and make sure there's no leaks. Okay, I let it run for a few minutes. I didn't see any leaks, so now we're going to let it settle down. Give the oil time to get to the bottom, and we're going to do the oil check. Okay, we're ready to check it. So with the back upright, let's see how much oil we got. Okay, and she looks good. Looks like we're on the top of the mark. Okay, now that the oil level is correct, we're going to put the engine covers back on. I would highly recommend you clean these each time because they do harbor a lot of dirt. If you ride them off-road, if you're just riding the street, you'll be okay. But we'll slide that back on here. Get it right. Okay, you'll go back with the 3 bolts. Just hand tight. Okay, then we got the bottom skid plate and we are complete. And you've got these, are the long one will go on the bottom. Now these are the 10mm. Yeah, I do the same thing to these. A lot of people torque them, but I just hand tighten them, or I snug them up with the T-bar. It's not that critical. Watch for this little drain hose. It likes to get trapped in between that skid plate. So. And there you have it. It's put back together and ready to ride. If I help somebody out, or if you enjoyed the video, give me a like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.